Most marriages don't fall from the inside. They fall because the wrong person was let in. Sometimes through the front door, sometimes through a phone screen, and almost always, the spouse never saw it coming. 6 kinds of people end marriages. The Bible names everyone. The first one always smiles. The first one is the one you opened the door for. The Bible has a name for this person. Her name was Delilah. The valley of Sorek sat between 2 hills of pale limestone. Its soil was red. Its water was sweet. Samson met her there. The text never says she lied to him about loving him. That detail matters. She did not seduce a stranger. She drained a man who already trusted her. The Philistine lords offered her 1,100 pieces of silver, each of them. 5 lords, 1 woman. A fortune that could buy a small village. She took it, and then she waited for him to come home. He came home. He always came home. 3 times she asked him for the secret of his strength. 3 times he lied, and 3 times she tested the lie. Men waited in the next room with weapons. Most people read the story and ask why Samson stayed. The better question is why he kept coming back. The body remembers comfort even after the mind sees the trap. That is how the seducer works. The text says she pressed him with her words day after day. The Hebrew word for pressed is the word for suffocating, day after day, in a low voice, with tears, with anger, with the kind of kindness that asks for everything, until he gave her the only thing that kept him alive. He told her about his hair. She lulled him to sleep on her knees. Most people skip this detail. The strongest man alive fell asleep on the lap of the woman selling him. A barber came in and shaved his head. Samson woke up, not knowing he was empty. That sentence is the whole story of the seducer. You don't notice the moment your strength is gone. You only notice when you try to use it. The seducer does not always come for sex. Sometimes it is attention. Sometimes it is laughter. Sometimes it is a coworker who listens better than your spouse. The form changes. The pattern does not. Delilah never came alone. She came with 5 men in the next room. The seducer always brings others. The affair partner brings the friends who normalize it. The flirt brings the messages. The third party brings the comparison. The first one through the door is never the only one. They put out Samson's eyes. They bound him with bronze chains. They sat him in a mill, grinding grain like an animal. That is the price of one wrong door. The Bible never blames Samson for being attacked. The Bible blames him for opening up. He told her about his hair on the 3rd lie. That was the day his marriage to God ended, and the day his life as a free man ended too. A door opens once, and the whole world can walk through it. The first kind of person you must never let in is simple. It is the one who already knows your weak spot, because they did not come to love you. They came for what you cannot afford to lose. The second one is harder to see. The second one is sitting at your table. The second one is your friend. His name was Jonadab. He was the cousin of Prince Amnon, the son of Shemiah, brother of David, and the Bible describes him with one word that should have been a warning: crafty. Most translations soften it. The Hebrew word means clever in the way a snake is clever. Calculating, patient, watching. Amnon was sick with desire for his half-sister Tamar. He could not eat. He could not sleep. He carried his obsession in silence until Jonadab noticed, and then Jonadab opened his mouth. "Why are you so haggard, son of the king? Tell me." Amnon told him everything, and Jonadab gave him a plan. Pretend to be sick. Ask the king to send Tamar to feed you. Get her alone. The plan worked exactly as Jonadab said it would. Tamar was destroyed in a single afternoon. Amnon was murdered 2 years later by his brother Absalom. The kingdom of David fractured, and Jonadab survived all of it. He did not lose a daughter. He did not lose a son. He gave the words. He kept the distance. That is what makes this kind of friend so dangerous. They have no marriage to lose. That is the second pattern. The bad counselor never suffers his own advice. You can spot Jonadab in modern form. He is the friend who tells you the flirt is harmless. Just one drink with the coworker. Just one private message. Just one secret your spouse doesn't need to know. He's the friend who knows what your marriage lacks, and he is happy to hand you the wrong fix. He has been divorced 3 times and still gives advice on how to keep one. The text says Jonadab was clever. It does not say he was wrong. That is the trap. Bad counsel does not always sound bad. Sometimes it sounds like the only one who finally understands you. Watch who has your ear after a fight. Watch who you call before you call your spouse. Watch who knows the inside of your marriage better than your spouse. That person is shaping your marriage. And if their motives are wrong, the marriage is already wounded. Most people read 2 Samuel 13 and remember Tamar. Some remember Amnon. Almost no one remembers Jonadab. That is exactly how this kind of person likes to live. In the room where decisions are made, but never in the records. The Bible places Jonadab next to a king. That is not an accident. The wrong friend always finds his way close to power. And the closer he gets, the smaller your kingdom becomes. Jonadab never raised a sword. Jonadab never lifted a hand. He just spoke once. And the kingdom started cracking that day. Words can do what swords cannot. The second person you must never let in is simple. It is the one who has your ear before your spouse does. Because the room with the most influence is small. And it has only so many seats. The third one is the hardest to refuse. Because the third one already loved you first. This is the parent who never let go. The mother-in-law who calls every morning. The father who still signs his daughter's name on his paperwork. The one who built the house and now owns the keys. The Bible has a story about this person too. His name was Laban. Jacob worked 7 years for Laban's daughter Rachel. He loved her. The text says the years felt like a few days because of his love. On the wedding night, Laban switched the bride. He sent in his older daughter, Leah, instead. Jacob woke up married to the wrong woman. Sound familiar? Laban then made him work 7 more years for the woman he actually loved. Then 6 more years after that. 20 years inside one man's grip. But here is what most people miss. Laban did not stop when Jacob finally left. The text says Laban chased him. He chased him for 7 days through the desert, caught up with him near Mount Gilead, and accused Jacob of stealing from him. When Jacob asked what he had stolen, Laban searched everything. He found nothing, because the only thing Jacob had taken was his own family. That is what the controlling parent cannot accept. Their child is no longer their possession. Genesis chapter 2 has only one rule about marriage. Just one. A man shall leave his father and his mother and cleave to his wife. The Hebrew word for cleave means to bind, to glue, to refuse separation. And before any of that can happen, there is the word leave. Leave is not a soft word. It means to abandon, to step away, to close a door behind you. Some marriages never started, because that door was never closed. The husband still calls his mother before his wife. The wife still asks her father what to do before her husband. The in-laws walk into the bedroom without knocking. Holidays are not negotiated. They are dictated. This is not about cutting your parents off. The Bible never tells anyone to do that. It tells you to leave and cleave. 2 verbs, 1 direction. Laban loved his daughters. He really did. But love that refuses to let go is not love anymore. It is ownership. And ownership of a child is the fastest way to break the next marriage. Jacob had to fight a parent before he could become a husband. That was always the design. Not because the parent is the enemy, but because the parent must release the child first. The child cannot bond fully until then. Watch how decisions are made in the home. Watch whose opinion settles a fight. Watch whose name comes up in every Sunday lunch. If the answer is always the same parent, The marriage is being rented, not built. The third person you must never let in is the one who never let you go. The parent who refuses to let you become a spouse, because their grip is tighter than the new vow. And no marriage survives a grip from outside. The fourth one was once like you. The fourth one was once happy, and then something broke them. The Bible shows this person in one of the rawest moments in Scripture. Job had lost everything: his children, his house, his wealth, his health. He sat in ashes, scraping his skin with broken pottery. And then his wife spoke, "Curse God and die." That sentence has confused readers for thousands of years. Most people use it to call her wicked, but read what came before. She had buried 10 children in a single day. She had watched her husband become a stranger to himself. She was not evil. She was destroyed. That is the fourth person, not malicious, not cruel, just broken in the same place you are still standing. You will meet them. The friend who got divorced and now cannot stand happy couples. The aunt whose husband cheated and tells every niece to never trust a man. The cousin whose marriage failed and drinks at every wedding. The coworker who lost a wife to cancer. He tells you no one is worth the risk anymore. The wounded one does not want to hurt you. The wounded one wants company, and the company they want is your future broken too. This is the kindest of the 6 dangers, and maybe the most dangerous because of it. Job's wife loved him. The Bible never says she didn't. She wanted his suffering to end, and she could only see one way out: curse God and die. In some ways, that sentence is every wounded friend talking. Just rephrased, that is what wounds do when they do not heal. They turn into advice. Job did not take the advice. The text says he answered her gently. Shall we accept good from God and not adversity? He did not divorce her. He did not cut her off, but he did not take her counsel. That is the lesson buried in this scene. You can love a wounded person without taking their wounds as wisdom. There is another woman in the Bible who carried the same kind of pain. Her name was Naomi. She lost her husband and both her sons in a foreign land. And when she came home, she told everyone to stop calling her Naomi. Call me Mara, she said. The name means bitterness. She was not wrong about her pain. She was wrong about what to do with it. Bitterness is not a sin, but bitterness is a teacher. And every marriage near a bitter teacher slowly learns the wrong lesson. Some wounded people do heal. Some friends did lose a marriage and grew through it. You can tell the difference by what they want for you. A healed wound wants you to thrive. A fresh wound wants you to understand. A healed wound becomes wisdom. A fresh wound becomes warning, dressed as advice. The fourth person you must never let in is the one who lost theirs. The wedding they never had. The marriage that ended badly. The love that did not return. Not because they are bitter, but because their wound is still fresh. And fresh wounds give terrible directions. You can hold their hand without taking their map. The fifth one is the easiest to keep, because the fifth one never says no. Every marriage has a circle of people around it. Friends, family, co-workers, the barber, the trainer, the small group. Some of them tell you the truth. Some of them tell you what you want to hear. Only one of those groups protects your marriage. The Bible has a name for the one who only agrees. It calls him the flatterer. Proverbs warns about him over and over. A flattering mouth works ruin. A man who flatters his neighbor spreads a net for his feet. He who rebukes a man honestly will find more favor in the end, more than the one whose tongue only flatters. That is the test. Who rebukes you? Whose disapproval do you actually hear? Your spouse cannot be the only one. A marriage needs witnesses, not just participants. If everyone in your circle says yes to everything you do, your circle is empty. You have surrounded yourself with mirrors. King David almost lost his throne to a flatterer, and the flatterer was his own son. Absalom stood at the city gate every morning. He told every man who came with a complaint the same thing. Your case is right. Your case is good. The king has no one to hear you, but if I were judge, I would do justice for you. The text says, Absalom stole the hearts of the men of Israel. He stole them with agreement. He never told a single one of them they were wrong. And in 4 years, the kingdom was almost his, all built on a foundation of yes. And the saddest part of the story is this: David did not see it coming. He was too busy being agreed with. Loyalty is not the same as agreement. A loyal friend defends your marriage, even when you don't. A loyal friend stops you from saying things you will regret. A loyal friend tells you the second story of every fight, the one your version did not include. The flatterer in a marriage is harder to spot because they sound like a good friend. They cheer when you complain about your spouse. They never ask if you might be the problem. They never say, I think you are wrong here. A friend like that is not protecting your marriage. They are sandpapering it down to nothing. One agreement at a time. Watch the friend who never disagrees with you. Watch the friend whose advice always favors what you wanted to do anyway. That friend is not safe. That friend is a mirror. And mirrors break the moment something hits them. Proverbs says, faithful are the wounds of a friend. Wounds. The right friend hurts you sometimes. The wrong friend never hurts you and slowly hurts your marriage instead. Choose the friend who tells you the truth on a Tuesday, even when you do not want to hear it. The fifth person you must never let in is the one who only agrees. Because love that cannot say no is not love. It is decoration. And decoration cannot hold a marriage when the wind comes. The sixth one never came to destroy anything. The sixth one never raised a voice. The sixth one never pulled at a door. The sixth one walked in carrying a different world, and the marriage breathed it in until the smoke was everywhere. His name was Solomon, the wisest man who ever lived, the author of Proverbs, the man who built the temple, and the man whose marriage destroyed his kingdom. The text in 1 Kings is unflinching. He had 700 wives of royal birth and 300 concubines, and his wives turned away his heart. Most retellings stop there, but the geography of his fall is what makes it terrifying. Solomon built altars for his wives' gods on the Mount of Olives. He built one for Chemosh of Moab, one for Molech of the Ammonites, one for Ashtoreth of the Sidonians. He built them with the same hands that had built the temple. He did not stop loving God. The text never says that. He simply added other gods to his life, and the addition was the destruction. That is how the sixth one works. Not through scandal, not through screaming, not through one decisive betrayal, through the slow accumulation of a different world. The friend who jokes about open marriages, the colleague who treats divorce like a haircut, the neighbor who teaches your kids that vows are negotiable, the platform that streams 1,000 small versions of unfaithfulness into your living room. None of them came in screaming. None of them said, leave your spouse today. They came in carrying a different temperature, and the marriage adjusted to the heat. That is the slow fire. You do not notice you are burning until you smell the wood. Solomon's wives did not destroy his marriage in a single afternoon. It took decades. The text says when Solomon was old, his heart turned. Not when he was young, not when he was foolish. When he was old, a whole life of small compromises ended in a kingdom split in half. This sixth danger is the one almost no one takes seriously, because no one who carries it looks like an enemy. They look like a friend who lives differently. They look like a coworker with a fun life. They look like normal, but normal is the most dangerous voice in any era, because normal asks nothing of you and changes everything in you. Solomon wrote thousands of proverbs about wisdom. He wrote about a virtuous wife being more precious than rubies. He wrote about the value of one good marriage. And then he lived the opposite of every word he wrote. The wisest man in history did not lose his mind. He lost his temperature. Slowly. The sixth person you must never let in carries a different world. A world that does not honor a vow. And the slow fire of that world will burn anything you tried to build. Most marriages don't fall from the inside. Now you know who pushes from the outside, the seducer at the door, the friend who whispers wrong, the parent who never let go, the wounded one who lost their own, the voice that only agrees, the slow fire of a different world. 6 doors, 6 dangers, 6 names the Bible already spoke. The strongest man alive fell asleep on the lap of someone he trusted. The wisest man alive watched his kingdom split because of who he loved. A prince followed his cousin's plan and died for it. A son worked 20 years to escape one father-in-law's grip. A man scraping his skin with pottery refused his wife's last advice. A king was almost dethroned by his own son's flattery. The Bible does not teach that marriage is fragile. It teaches that marriage is a territory, and every territory has a door. Watch the door. That is the whole instruction. You cannot control everyone who knocks, but you can decide who you let in. That decision is your marriage.